Well, Kyle Neddenrip here talking some sectional basketball, and this week it's a fun week for everybody as we get started. Some teams already knocked out and by the wayside. One of those is not Cardinal Ritter though. Derrick Williams joins us, the city coach of the year this year for Cardinal Ritter, and the Raiders get through last night. A tough game against Park Tudor, a 5-point win, but you guys were able to advance. Derrick, how'd that game go last night? What was kind of the way you guys were able to advance over at Park Tudor?
Well, I think the motivation for us was the fact that we had lost to them during the regular season. And I said that night back in January when we lost, I said, while I'm disappointed, I want to win out. I would take that loss to redeem ourselves for a sectional one because you know how hard it is to beat teams multiple times during the season. So for us, we know it's going to be a grind. We know they're one of the premier 2A teams in the state. But we also felt very confident that we've been battle tested. We play a tough schedule as well. And when we played them early in January, we were without Devin Bolden. And I also told the guys, like, how many teams can miss a 25-12 guy and still come out? And we were really a 6-point loss. I mean, it ended up being 8, but it was really a 6-point, 2-possession game the entire way. So.
And you guys this year, Derrick, have played a schedule I think probably that would lead you to be pretty confident. You're 17-6 right now, but some of those losses, and you wanted to go a little farther in the city tournament than you did. Lost to Crystal House, which played great that night, but you lost some early games, a close game to Brebeuf, then lost to Guerin. Those teams obviously two of the better teams in Class 3A. You lost to Castle, which is a 4A team. And you mentioned that Park Tudor game, and then a late loss to Tri-West, which was playing really well. So, you beat some really good teams too. Roncalli included in that, Evansville Bossy, Decatur Central, a 4A team. So, very tested team. But how did that schedule maybe prepare you, Derrick, for what you're seeing now?
Well, I'm not from Indiana, but I've always said the way Indiana is with the sectional, it doesn't really matter what your regular season record is. I mean, that's more for, as a coach, you want that to matter. But the reality of it is that, I've been around and seen enough Indiana basketball where, teams that don't have a lot of losses get bounced in, round one. And you got teams wanting, from my stepson, Tyler Jenkins, playing get with Gary Harris and HSC and North Central matching up way back in the day. You got the number 1 and 2 teams in the state in the very first round. So I just always thought when I got this position that, regular seasons don't matter. Let's go out and play our tough schedule, be battle tested. We've upgraded our schedule since the very day I got here. I just, told my AD, don't hold it against me in some of these losses, but I just want to prepare this team to be able to go against, better competition to prepare us for sectionals.
You had a sectional where you play Riverside on Friday night, and they're a team that's much improved. Justin Bennett over there has done a good job getting that program going as well. And then University on the other side, that was a close game last night. They beat Covenant Christian 56-46. So a couple of good games over there at Park Tudor last night, but you got a big win last night, but it's this sectional is not easy. Riverside, what do you see out of them? And then I know you're well aware of University there, which plays Monrovia, which has also been pretty competitive here lately. So not an easy route for you guys to get to the title. And it's a title that, honestly, Ritter just hasn't, done this since 2009. So it's a pretty big climb if you guys are able to get this done.
Yeah, well, last night we actually tied the school record for most wins in the season at 17. And we've been giving our guys a lot of different motivation. We were hoping with that Tri-West win that we would be able to, be playing for win number 20 or for a sectional championship. And no school in Cardinal Ritter history has ever won 20 games in boys basketball. So we've got a lot of different goals for ourselves that we set back in April with this team. I mean, going even back to last year, we lost 5 games by 1 possession. So we were that close last year. And I believe in these guys. We've got great senior leadership in Marshawn Henderson and Nate Smith, and they've been the catalyst to our team's rise. I mean, Nate's a coach's dream because he's a coach on the floor and he runs the show. He's one of the best point guards in the state, in my opinion. I'm biased, but he's always talking to me. He's talking to our other coaches. He's always giving his input. And so that's what's really helped, prepare us for this journey. We've had a lot of adversity. You mentioned the 6 losses, but we talk about it. Every one of our losses, something happened. Devin misses a Park Tudor game. Even against Tri-West, Marshawn wasn't feeling well and under the weather. Nate had his worst game against Garen Catholic. So, you know how it goes. You got to be lucky. You got to be good, but you got to be lucky too at this time of year. So I'm just always a believer. What I've been telling the guys all week is we have to take care of ourselves. It's ours to lose. If we do what we do and play our basketball, then I think we're a tough team to beat. When we're on our A game, I don't think there's anybody in the state that can beat us when we're on our A game.
You have 4 players. You mentioned some of those guys there averaging in double figures for you this year. Devin Bolden at 18.8 and over 11 rebounds per game. And wanted to ask you about him and just the impact he's had, on your team. Because, honestly, when you look this time of year, a lot of the times it's guard play. And you mentioned Nate Smith having a great year for you. And he's over 8 assists per game. But I always look too is like, sometimes if you have a big that can erase, if you have a rough shooting night or a night maybe where you have some turnovers, man, if you get a guy who can get in there and bang and get a couple putbacks for you and just kind of steady the ship sometimes, that's a huge thing, especially in these sectional games. But what does he bring to the table? Is he a sophomore that is kind of ready for these battles?
Yeah, Devin doesn't even know how good he is yet, and he's just a super humble kid. He's a hard worker. He's super coachable. In today's game where there's so many, prima donnas out there, think they know more than the coaches. He's a sponge, and his best basketball is ahead of him. I think he's underrated, and it's kind of frustrating because I hear the two-way knock on us, and sometimes I'm like, if you haven't watched this kid play, he's easily one of the best players in. He's going to be. I've had we went down to Evansville and I had some feedback that like he should be a junior all-star. So people are thinking about him on that level. We've got a lot of Division I schools that are showing a lot of interest. When it's in today's game, where a lot of colleges aren't looking at high school kids, we've got Big East ACC schools that are like, this kid can play. And like I said, he's super humble. If he just keeps putting the work in and staying the course, he's the number 1 power forward in his position. By some services. So that just tells you right there. But he still doesn't get the publicity I think he deserves. But that's okay because we don't really need it because Devin's a guy, he's going to go out there and prove it on the court every night. That's what I like about him.
And of course, as you know, this time of year, the farther you can get, the more, the more interest and eyeballs get on you. So that can only help you guys moving forward. Exactly. Derrick, what do you see? I mean, I don't know if you've had a real chance to look at Riverside yet. But what do you think about their team and your matchup on Friday night?
No, I went and watched them in their conference. They have actually a conference tournament early in the year. So I'm always out on the road. I'm a guy who likes to live scout. So I saw them in person. One of my assistants, my associate head coach, and defensive coordinator, he went and saw them live in person. We're watching film, on them. I told the guys, go home, rest and relax, but I'm going to go home and watch film. So I was up until 2 a.m. last night, like pouring over, watching film, putting the game plan together. I don't take anybody for granted. They've got a very good record. We know they beat Crystal House in a good win. They beat Purdue Poly. So they've got some quality wins. They got some size. They got a good point guard themselves. So that's going to be a great matchup between him and Nate. But it's sectional time. So, you have to be prepared for anything. I don't know, people notice like we threw some wrinkles at Park Tudor last night and we talked about, are they going to be expecting this, expecting that? So there's always got to be something different that you add. You can't just go into the section with the status quo. You got to be thinking outside the box. And that's what we're going to try and do to attack them. But I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think they want to play up tempo the way we do. And they got a big that can go with Devin. And so we'll just see. I think it's going to really come down to the bench plays. It's going to make some key plays. Last night, Kasen Stevenson, was a guy who came off the bench and, battled some injuries early because he came off the football field and, had a football injury. And we weren't sure if we were going to have him. And he started for us as a sophomore. And so we knew he could add something depth to us and some experience and give Devin a blow. And man, last night I was telling that kid, I go, Kasen, I love you so much because he made the defensive play of the game. They had the ball down 3, and he just jumped the ball and got a steal for us, and that was the ball game. Huge play, and the game's winding down. So plays like that. And I keep telling my bench guys, like, if it's 1 or 2 plays, that's what's going to win you a sectional. So everybody's got to be ready to make that one. Last night, it was huge for us.
Well, awesome. Well, Derrick, thanks so much for coming on and joining me here. Again, Cardinal Ritter playing in the 2A sectional at Park Tudor semifinal on Friday night against Riverside. Riverside, obviously, we mentioned them having a great season as well. And then Monrovia and University on the other side of that bracket. That will actually be the 6 o'clock game. Ritter plays at roughly 7:45 or whatever after that first game. So should be two good games, and then certainly it will be a good matchup on Saturday in the championship, which will be at 7. But Derrick, again, thanks, and good luck to you guys this weekend.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it as always. Good talking to you.
You too. Well, up next, I've got Matt Schauss from Columbia City, coach of the Columbia City team. That was, I think, maybe one of the more eye-opening scores last night. Matt, you guys able to beat Northwood on the road on Northwood's home court last night, 46-45. And I know that Northwood team, people know them well from what they've done the last couple of years. State champion, of course, 2 years ago in Class 3A. But I know your team's pretty good too, and I kind of had this game circled as a potential game that could be really good on the first night of the tournament. But just tell us a little bit about how you guys were able to get it done last night.
Yeah, so we played them early January, and we played them pretty tough, and I think it was tied at half then. And there's kind of a couple-minute stretch where in that game they kind of got away from us. And, after that game in the locker room, I told them 2 months from now we're going to be playing these guys on this court again. And I really this year our schedule has been kind of brutal. We've played a lot of good teams. Our February was packed. I think we ended up with 10 games because of a couple rescheduled. But just had a group of guys that love to compete, love to get after it, and weren't scared of the challenge ahead. And obviously a tough place to play. And Coach Wolf, as you mentioned, state champion, always has a team that's prepared and has some really, really good basketball players. Rosh, obviously, still had a great night last night. And I thought we did a pretty good job on him. He still ends up with 22. But, good players going to do that. But we just made, enough plays to get it done.
Those last few possessions looked like it was definitely nerves on both sides, I would say, and it was. But Owen Marshall seemed like he really did the job for you guys down the stretch. Just what kind of player has he been for you this year, and how much do you kind of lean on what he can do for you?
Yeah, he's been great. He came in to the season with a lot of confidence. He got a Bethel offer in August, so that obviously increased his confidence, but his role has changed dramatically, over this from last year to this year. We've encouraged him to be our vocal leader and somebody who can kind of control the game. And I think, each game this year, he's improved upon that. From November until now, it's night and day difference. And obviously he's athletic and get to the rim and do some of those things, but just his ability to understand certain possessions, what's going on in the game, time and score, like you said last night, just a couple of point lead, but that's where he kind of controlled it and made free throws late and stepped up big for us there.
Again, talking with Matt Schauss of Columbia City. Columbia City now 15-9. They are playing in Sectional 20 at Northwood, and will play Fairfield next on the that will be the second game. Tippecanoe Valley and Wawasee play in the first game up there at Northwood on Friday night. Should be and Tippecanoe Valley has been a team too that has been really good this year, and Fairfield I think also is having a pretty good season as well. Have you seen them this year, Matt?
We trade a lot of film. We didn't play them though, so we got to see him play a lot. We have a lot of similar opponents. It's Coach Garber's first year, but he's not. He's obviously had success on the girls' side. He won state championship a couple years ago with Fairfield. So he stepped in. They've won 7 of the last 8. They won 13 overall. So they're playing, I feel like us as well. We're playing our best basketball, and I feel like they're playing their best basketball too.
I know Columbia City's been a program too that's kind of been on the, played in 4A and 3A over the years. It's been kind of on the, I don't know what the word, kind of on the edge of both classes throughout the last few years. But, with this change and how the IHSA is doing the enrollment cutoffs, we've had a lot of teams around here that have dropped to 3A. And I know obviously you're in that boat too. But, I know you play a lot of 4A teams anyway. Do you feel like that's maybe helped prepare you for what is a pretty tough sectional?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I really challenged our group, and I think they wanted to be challenged this year with our schedule. Last week even we played Bishop Luers, who's one of the better teams in 2A. We played Northridge really well a couple of weeks ago. So schedule is tough. Obviously, we're kind of used to the 4A type level being in the Homestead section of these past few years, but still, Northwoods was a great team, and to see them on that list of us drawing them first, I knew our guys were ready and prepared, and we're used to competing against really, really good teams, and like I said, found a way to get it done last night.
Talk a little bit, Matt, about some of your other guys that touched on Marshall there, but how I guess compared to what you had last year, what did you kind of know about your team coming into this year, and who are some of those guys who have maybe stepped into those bigger roles for you?
Yep. So we lost we graduated 4 seniors last year in our starting lineup. The only returner was Stratton Fuller. This is his 3rd year starting for us. He's a football guy. He's going to Army next year to play football. But he's a fantastic kid, loves basketball, just a super athlete. He's averaging about 13 points a game for us this year. Rebounds well, guards is their best player typically. So having somebody like him who's just, I think, kind of an elite athlete and brings toughness to it helps. But the breakout guy for us this year is Landon Richmond. Mm-hmm. He's averaging around 14 points a game and almost 8 rebounds. And again, he just gives us a presence inside. And I've told multiple people this. I think he's the best rebounder that I've coached in my time. It's my 8th year as a head coach. He's the best rebounder. He just has a knack for the basketball. And he's not like, you look at him, you think he's kind of skinny still. I think he's going to grow some, but man, he can get some rebounds, and he's the first to the ball most of the time. So, those 3 guys and the guys around him, Trey Deckman has been big for us this year. Another great defender. And again, his plus minus is always high. You might not see, the points or rebounds or whatever, right? Those things might not stick out, but his plus minus is always high. So anytime he's on the court, we're better. And then Josh Eberly last night had a great night, made 4 threes for us. And obviously we can stretch the floor and let our guards drive some and have a shooter like Josh out there. That helps us big time.
And I believe was Landon he forced that tie up there, didn't he? There in the last few seconds. Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Rosh was going, and Caden Berna is another one I didn't mention there. Big plays last night. Took a charge with 30 seconds left to get us the ball back and get some more free throws up. And he was defending Rosh when Landon came over and tied him up for that jump ball. But we just have a group of guys that, again, they don't really care about success of themselves or stats or anything like that. They just want to see us score one more point than the other team at the end of the day.
And Columbia City, again, hasn't won a sectional since 2016, so it's been a little while. That was when Columbia City was playing in 3A tournament. But Matt, I know you're not the only coach in your family. Your brother Drew had a great year with Avon this year. Unfortunately, it came to an end last night in their sectional. But this time of year, you guys able to keep in pretty close contact with each other?
We do. We'll text here and there, but we're obviously so busy and kind of focused on what we want to do. My dad is an assistant for me, and he lives up here, so that's kind of how that worked out. Not that he likes me more than my brother. He's probably had a lot more fun watching Avon at times this year than us, but I don't think anybody works harder than my brother. And I think obviously the year that they had, the program that he's built there at Avon, I'm extremely proud of him for that. And again, with his sectional, you're just kind of hoping for a bye, right? It doesn't matter, who you're playing. Everybody's in there's tough. He's obviously seen Brownsburg 2 other times in the regular season in their county tournament, and Plainfield would have been another one. So, just a tough one for him there. And again, he's got a lot to be proud of with that group, and they accomplished a lot. Obviously, the end goal for what they wanted didn't happen, but his group was pretty dang good.
And what's it like, Matt, coaching with your dad? I mean, how much of a comfort is that to have him over there coaching with you?
It's great. It's great. So I'm pretty level-headed. My dad, maybe not so much. He was a head coach at Centerville and Hagerstown for a while. And he was pretty animated and get after it. And he always say like, man, you're way better than I am. Like, you're so much more calm at times. And I go, I don't know about that. On the inside, maybe I'm not, feeling that way, but he's just great, right? He's been around the game a long time, but his ability to still connect with the kids, and he loves these kids, right? And his ability to do that, and obviously help me with, things on the court. But it's just great to have him around and see him every day. And my son will come in with him some because my son does not want to go to the babysitter. He wants to stay with Pops and then come to practice, which is also awesome. But yeah, it's a pretty fun deal.
Well, great. Well, again, Columbia City playing on a Friday night in Sectional 20 at Northwood, 15-9 on the season now after that big win over Northwood last night. And I guess the fun part of this, Matt, is you get 2 more practices. That's kind of the survival of it. You need 2 more practice plans now to come up with.
That's right. That's right. And that was one of our goals for the games, right? Just fight for one more day, right? Because this group, like I said, they love each other. They love being at practice. There hadn't been one time this year where I felt like they've dreaded it or, whatever. So they were fighting for one more day, and we got a couple more. We got another chance on Friday against a tough opponent. So we'll see what happens. We'll be ready to go, though.
Well, awesome. Thanks again, Matt, for coming on and joining me, and good luck on Friday night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Well, back here again talking with Kasen Daeger from Silver Creek High School, junior guard, already at 1,000 points for his high school career. And Kasen, I told you before I started here, it's the glamorous life I'm living here in my car after covering a couple sectional games at Frankfurt. But I know you guys were off tonight. You played last night, had a close game, it looked like, against Cordon Central. But you guys were able to get through. How did that game go for you last night? A 3-point game. You guys win that one 67-64.
We came out. We had a little slow start. We got punched in the mouth first, I would say. I mean, we could have chose to sit back and relax, but we fought back and kept it close. So.
And I know you're obviously in a tough sectional there where Brownstown Central and Charlestown are on the other side of that bracket. Silver Creek will play Madison Friday at 7:30 p.m. In the second game there. But Kasen, already, wanted to ask you about that 1,000 points. That's pretty rare to do that as a junior. Just what kind of accomplishment is that for you? Where do you put that on kind of your list of accomplishments so far?
I mean, it wasn't really a goal of mine. My only goals were really just to win state and be an Indiana All-Star. I mean, that just comes with hard work that I put in. So it's a really big accomplishment, though.
And to do that, as a junior, I mean, I think shows how well you can shoot. I saw you play in the summer at the Charlie Hughes and was really struck by that. But how do you kind of assess your game? Where do you feel like your biggest strengths are as an offensive player?
Well, I think my biggest strengths are off the ball, but I think I can change my game into more on the ball. I think that would be huge for me down the road.
And kind of talk about a little bit about this year's team you have. I know, Silver Creek always kind of known for basketball. You guys are 21-4. Brandon Hoffman's been there a long time as the coach there. Won a couple state championships with Trey Coffin leading that team. Cooper Jacoby as well. I covered a lot of those games, as Silver Creek made their run in the tournament. But just this year, I know coming off a 14-10 season, did you feel like this was a team that had a chance to do quite a bit in the tournament and in the regular season?
Oh yeah, for sure. We were a really young team last year, and I think our guys have started to know that we're like the older guys now because we only have one senior. So yeah, we beat a couple of good teams. We beat Fort Wayne Blackhawk, New Palestine, Jeff, New Albany. I mean, those are pretty good wins. So I think our chemistry has gotten a lot better since last year, and we've just grown up as a team.
At what point maybe could you tell that this was a team that had that sort of potential? Those wins, I think early on, like you mentioned, some of those. Columbus North also a good team that they lost last night, but had a great season. A lot of Jeffersonville, that raises some eyebrows. But where could you maybe see this team maybe could get to where you were hoping to get to?
I think it just started in our summer workouts. I think everyone was putting the work in they needed to, and I think we looked really good in the Charlie Hughes also in all those other summer tournaments.
What are you looking forward to, Kasen, with Madison on Friday night? I know you played them one time already this season, but what do they kind of bring to the table? What are you trying to get ready for Friday?
We're just preparing for our 3-point defense. I think that's going to be a huge part of the win and stuff, and how we come out and throw the first punch.
Do you watch? Are you trying to watch these other teams in your sectional? Are you kind of preparing on your own a little bit for what you'll see from some of these teams?
We usually just try to take it one game at a time. I think we know the team's personnel really well already, so there's not too much more we need to look at.
And Kasen, kind of speak to, how what would you say about Silver Creek basketball? Just I've been to some games there on your home floor. It's a fun environment, but cool old gym that you guys play in. But what would somebody ask you about Silver Creek basketball? What would you tell them about it?
I think it's a really cool environment, like you said at the gym. It gets really loud in there and stuff. We got a great home crowd, and Coach Hoffman pushes us a lot, makes us a great team. It makes our chemistry really well and stuff. All the guys get along, and in practice they're always just fun. People usually don't like going to practice, but I love going to practice. My guys.
That's a good thing. And looking at what you guys have, you're averaging about 17 points a game. You got Dane Sprigler. He's about 16 a game, another junior. And then Dane Caldwell is over 12 points and 7 rebounds, roughly. So you've got some guy, and then a couple sophomores. Brandon Hunter, I know. He's your assist guy. And he can also score as well. So you got, it's not only you trying to do it offensively, but you have some other guys around you. I think that's probably, is that kind of what makes you guys such a good offensive team?
Yeah, because you really can't. If you can stop one of us, someone else is gonna do damage to you. So it's really pick your poison. Because like if Brandon's like driving on my side, you can either help off me, it'll be wide open 3, or he'll have a layup. So it's really whatever.
And tell me a little bit about what you have coming up. I know you're obviously focused on, what you have right now with the sectional games, and hopefully playing that championship game Saturday. That would be, no matter the opponent, would be fantastic atmosphere, I'm sure. But looking ahead to what you have beyond that, Kasen, what's your spring and summer look like? Who are you playing with?
This summer I'll be playing with Wildcat Select again on the 3SSB circuit.
And with your recruiting stuff, how is that going? I know it's different for high school kids now than it used to be, but what kind of interest are you getting?
I've got 3 offers from Morehead State, Eastern Illinois, and Southeast Missouri State. And the schools that have been in touch with me the most are probably Kent State, Ball State, IUND, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Any of those schools you really like? Have you been to any of those schools yet?
I've been to also Miami of Ohio too. I've been to Miami of Ohio. Also went to Youngstown State. Those are my only 2 visits that I went on.
Okay. So quite a bit. Anywhere else you're hoping to get to upcoming, or is it just kind of wait and see what's out there for you?
Well, I've had some interest from Clemson, St. Louis. I like St. Louis a lot. Also Dayton too. Those 3, I like those a lot.
Okay. And then just with your team, looking ahead, this is a team. It's kind of built for 2 years. Really, I know you want the opportunity in front of you that you have this weekend, but how good can this team be next year, do you think?
Well, I think we will be 10 times better next year because we can just build off this and be way better next year.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining me, Kasen. This again, Kasen Daeger from Silver Creek High School, and Silver Creek is playing in the sectional on Friday night against Madison. The other side of that bracket, Brownstown Central's been a really good team all season long, but it's going to be a battle down there. But appreciate you joining me, and good luck this weekend, Kasen.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, appreciate our guests for coming on today, and I wanted to wrap up. I'm sitting out here in the parking lot at outside Case Arena in Frankfort, and I covered a couple of games tonight in Sectional 3, Sectional or Class 3A, Sectional 25, and pretty different games. Guerin Catholic got off to a really fast start against Lebanon, and shooting especially, man. Guerin shot the lights out tonight. Came out in the first half and were 6 for 8 from the 3-point line, and end up Guerin, I believe, was 10 for 16 overall from the 3-point line in the game. 4 different players in double figures at 14 points apiece, so pretty well balanced. Lebanon, though, they were down by 23 points, able to come back and cut it to 8 with about a minute and 40 left. Weren't able to get any closer than that, but really good team. That Lebanon team, really tough. I think, and a lot of other sectionals would have possibly been able to advance, but Guerin ends up winning that one 73 to 61 over Lebanon, which ends 16-8 on the season. Guerin Catholic 21-4 now, and the matchup now, and I think we probably expected Lebanon to give Guerin a little bit of a game, but now Guerin will play Brebeuf, which started slow against Crawfordsville. It was only 29-21 at halftime, and Brebeuf was actually down by 2 points after one quarter. Crawfordsville was able to just kind of withstand and make some shots and hang in there, but then we're sort of overwhelmed in the second half for sure. Austin Ford, I thought, had a really nice game, 18 points and 6 rebounds, and Nick Sobek led Brebeuf with 19 points. So not surprising there. Ends up, like I said, 72-46. Crawfordsville's got some decent pieces for the future. They lose 2 seniors. But they end their season tonight at Frankfort. So, those 2 teams move on. Sectional 25 in Class 3A is going to be good. Friday night, you have Tri-West against Danville. Tri-West 17-6 have really been playing well. Danville 13-11. Tri-West beat Danville. That was about a month ago. 72-63. Of course, those teams always rivals. You never know when those teams meet up in any sport. Anything could happen. But Tri-West probably the team you would pick there to move on. Guerin and Brebeuf, I think Guerin is probably the pick, but Brebeuf, obviously these teams know each other really well. Last year was that crazy game when Ben Grissom threw the ball over his head. The ball was going out of bounds, and Malcolm House ends up getting the ball. He's the one who threw it. That almost went out of bounds, and then he ends up getting it when Grissom threw it back over his head, lays it in at the buzzer. Guerin won in double overtime against Brebeuf in that sectional championship game. So those teams meet again. That will be definitely a game to watch Friday night at 7:30 p.m. at Frankfort. Tri-West and Danville, the first game at Frankfort. So will be 2 really good games at Case Arena. By the way, beautiful facility. Just love coming to games here. Always try to go out of my way every couple of years to come to a game here. Just an awesome place, and hopefully a lot of people show up. I'm sure there will be good crowds for those games on Friday night for sure. I was looking around some other scores tonight. One of the other, and there's no 4A games tonight as I talk here on Wednesday. All the 4A games are sectional semifinals are set as of Tuesday. So with these lesser amount of games, there are just no games at all in 4A on Wednesday. Which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. At Shelbyville tonight, Roncalli beat Shelbyville 69-54, and Greenwood beat Indian Creek 68-55. Clark Wade was out there tonight shooting video for us, and you can find all of his highlights at indystar.com. But Roncalli, I know they were out to a pretty good lead for most of that game against Shelbyville, and they end up winning at Shelbyville. So Roncalli now moving into the semifinals. Greenwood also moving into the semifinals. Those 2 teams will play each other in that sectional. That is what sectional 20. well, I'd say sectional 28. So Beech Grove and New Powell will play at 6 p.m. and Roncalli and Greenwood will follow. So, you would expect, again, Roncalli Greenwood should be a pretty good game. You'd probably give the edge to Roncalli slightly, but, Greenwood is a team that beat Roncalli by 4 points back in the 1st of February. So you never know. That's could be a toss-up type game. New Powell definitely the favorite over Beech Grove, a young Beech Grove team in the other semifinal, and New Powell the favorite of all the sectional there. For sure with the team they have coming back. But that'll be sectional 28 on Friday. So that is set. Sectional 27 at Cascade. Those games were all set. So you'll have Northview and Washington, and then Speedway and Cascade will be the two games. Speedway and Cascade will be the second game there at Cascade. But looking at other games tonight around the state, some of the highlighted games, I would say, South Bend St. Joe beat South Bend Washington 85-69. That game was at Plymouth in Class 3A. That was a game we kind of had our eye on as a, potential. Stephen Reynolds, an outstanding player for Washington. So, you just never know. Those star players sometimes can have big games. South Bend St. Joe, though, just loaded with talent coming back from that last year team that made the state finals. So one of the scores, and then there are some other scores you can find IndyStar.com in our roundup from all the games tonight. Northwestern beat West Lafayette. That was a close game of Logansport, 49-46. And then looking at 2A in our local sectional at Crystal House, a bit of a surprise. Cecina beat Eastern Hancock 48-46. So you were looking at that sectional as, that one was probably one that, you thought would be that side of the bracket, maybe a little bit easier for a team like Eastern Hancock to get through. Well, Cecina says, never mind to that. We're going to be the team moving on. And so that'll set up an interesting lineup in that sectional there at Crystal House for Friday night. And as I buy time to scroll down here and look at so sectional 43, Cecina 48-46 beats Eastern Hancock. So now Cecina will play Kip Indy Legacy, which beat Irvington Prep easily tonight. That game could be interesting too. That Kip Indy Legacy team 17-7. I do think they've got some talent there, and against a Cecina team that's 9-14 on the season. That will be interesting. Crystal House 14-9 will play Triton Central 14-9 on the other side of the bracket. So that one's sort of wide open, I would say. I might give the slight edge to Crystal House to win the title there, but certainly no overwhelming favorite for sure. I think both those games potentially could be good at Crystal House on Friday night. And looking down some of the other games tonight, again, not a ton of games, only, and some weirdness with Riverton Park at North Vermilion. Riverton Park Attica game is postponed because of power outage. So you'll have the very rare Thursday night sectional game. It'll be the only one in the state going on, to my knowledge, tomorrow night. That's in 1A. You had mostly 1A games tonight. Just the way the thing is set up now, there just are more 1A teams. So you end up with obviously more games in that class in 1A. So definitely more 1A games were played tonight. Couts beat Marquette Catholic. That was another game we were kind of looking at as a potential game that could decide the sectional. Couts wins 54-45 in that one. Also, kind of looking down here, Lafayette Central Catholic, they won that first game at North Vermilion 45-27 over Fountain Central. So then they got that game in and then called it. The other really big game was at Clinton Central. Clinton Prairie beat Carroll and really handled that game throughout. It was 64-40 it ended up, but it looked like Clinton Prairie had about a 30-point lead at one point in that game. So, that was a game in 1A I thought could be pretty interesting. That game played at Clinton Central. And Clinton Prairie, the Gophers have not won a sectional title since 1982. So Chad Peckinpah, the coach there, trying to get them through to win one for the first time in a long time. What would that be? About 43 years since they last won one. So that could happen now after they beat probably the next best team in that sectional. Clinton Prairie will play Rossville, though. You never look past Rossville. Always has a good program there. The Hornets do. And so you can't look totally past them either. But you would think Clinton Prairie the favorite for sure. And looking up last time they played Rossville, it was a 30-point game. So definitely you'd give them the edge in that one. But yeah, elsewhere tonight, again, a lot of 1A games, not a lot in 3A and 2A as much. But yeah, so I think that's, maybe I was looking down here. So at Lutheran, sectional 58, you had Metropolitan beat Eminence. Those games were Tuesday night, so you didn't have anything on Wednesday. Edinburgh beat Tri-tonight, 42-31, and South Decatur knocks out Morristown. So those games both played tonight. Milan beat Crothersville 92-81. That would have been a fun game to watch. The game was at Milan. Milan, I think that triples their score from the 1954 game in the state championship. So just kidding there. But 92-81, Milan definitely not holding the ball for minutes at a time in sectional 60. Elsewhere, White River Valley, they win over Duggar Union easily. And North Central, Farmersburg knocks off Cloverdale in a 2-point game tonight, 53-51. So now that will be really interesting to watch Friday night. Bloomfield and Clay City play each other in sectional 61, and then White River Valley and North Central in the other semifinal. But Bloomfield Clay City, one of the better games you're going to find in the area or in the state on Friday night for sure, and a great gym to watch it at in White River Valley. At Lagodi tonight, you had Orleans beat Medora handily. Orleans has a chance really to do some damage this year, and also Lagodi beats Washington Catholic. Been a tough year for Washington Catholic for sure. And then wanted to mention too Cannleton. Cannleton wrote about those guys a few weeks ago. They lose tonight 67-13 against Wood Memorial. But kudos to those guys playing with 5 players all season. They make it through the season 3-20, and they lost a lot of games by a lot of points. But credit those guys for just playing it out and finishing the year. I mean, you played in the sectional, so congrats to those guys, and happy for them that they were able to finish the season. They're going to get a crop of young 8th graders in next year that should help them hopefully turn the corner soon. But yeah, so that sectional down there, Wood Memorial is probably arguably the team to beat down there. So they had a tough draw against them tonight. But so yeah, again, Wednesday night, not like I said, no 4A games, some 3A, some 2A. But I appreciate the guests for coming on tonight and today and tonight and joining me here. And we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure. But thanks again and again, we'll have plenty on IndyStar.com tonight, tomorrow, and all weekend, I'm sure, with more sectional coverage. Fun week of basketball. It's a long week, but appreciate you joining me here and elsewhere at IndyStar. Thank you.